Welcome back to Persona 5 Royal. We completed the last 2 requests in Mementos last time, and now here is the aftermath. Yay, Mom and Dad aren't gonna get divorced anymore because Dad stopped obsessing over idols. To an extent. They can see Lillignan. I mean, I suppose they could make a family outing out of it. But actually, we do need to become a fan of Lillignan for reasons. You want to remember, Morgana says that, and yet he's not one to talk when it comes to Arn, but you do want to remember Lillignan and that request for the final day of the game. Oh boy, apology videos. Yeah, like, the fact that TV Tropes actually has a trope now called YouTuber apology parody just shows that the whole concept of the apology video has become such a thing in pop culture that, again, media is actually parodying it now. But yeah, I guess what really matters is him apologizing to people in real life.
Hey!
Yo.
And our last box. Royal Jelly and Melon Pan. Yeah, I loved ordering those. I think I forgot to get Melon Pan a few times. Mentioning pancakes. Interesting. I feel like Maruki is gonna change, like if this is like acting, or a show, Maruki's probably gonna change the plot, or if this is a real documentary, Maruki's gonna change that detective's mind, because he can't have that. No, everything must be a perfect reality. And nobody will have, there will be no flaws. Everyone must be blind to the flaws of their own perfect reality, because that's just how things go with Maruki. But yeah, we have leftover curry ingredients.
Make sure you close up.
Which, yeah, we can actually still do without a Kawakami massage, because, yeah, some activities in LeBlanc can still be done that way.
Let me explain.
Sojo's not even here and he's still giving his voice clips. It's still really interesting to me, like, that every Confidant has voice clips for Let Me Explain. Well, at least the secret ingredient isn't love. I feel like I've said that before, though. It's been a while.
Yes! Alright.
Oh!
I love how they combine 2 of Joker's voice clips, though, for yes! Alright. 2 Master Curry. And that's 1/2 of the way to getting that Thieves' Den award, which it's only fitting to get before the end of the game.
Well then.
Got a big day tomorrow, huh? Actually, not really. Because tomorrow, we have complete free time. We are totally out of the guide, in complete freedom. And unfortunately, nobody's really saying anything new in town. Although, I do need to go to the Maid Cafe one last time to secure that trophy. So while I'm doing this, I can mention something. The guide that I'm following, ACE or All Confidant Events, in the end it probably wasn't necessary because I just did it to avoid having to reload for chalk dodges, and commenters pointed out to me that you can wiggle the analog stick and it seems like you dodge every time, and from what I tried, it seems like it's not a placebo effect, it may actually work.
My goodness.
But I do like the fact that I got to show a lot of these optional Confidant events. But the reason I'm saying this is because Hurricane Haon has a guide for this game. The same guy wrote the guide I followed for my Persona 4 playthrough. That actually does go for every Thieves' Den award that can be achieved in a first playthrough, or at least as many as possible. So now I'm kind of regretting not choosing that guy, because I would have been able to show off more Thieves' Den awards, but at least I got to improvise a little bit. We also get an item out of this, a photo with the maid, although it doesn't really do anything, it's just there as a, well, metaphorical trophy.
Come on.
We got Mike Wazowski'd. And, well, one last time for good measure. Go fix it.
Hey!
Doesn't even give you like a bonus to guts over what you'd normally get, it's just the same. But at least we got a trophy out of it. Not necessarily if you're playing the Switch version, which has no trophies. But, yeah, so again, Hurricane Harlan's Guide is also quite a good one. But speaking of guides, there is something that I did want to talk about at least once before I reach the end, and I think now is a fitting time. When I first played Persona 5, the vanilla game, not Royal, back in 2017 when it came out in English, I followed a guide that was written by somebody who goes by Kill Scott Kill. Now, you may know of him. He has a YouTube channel with Let's Plays uploaded, but he also was involved in the Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure fan translations. He sadly passed away quite unexpectedly. And I didn't mean for this to be a tribute to him or anything, but I just always planned on mentioning this because he wrote the guide that got me through vanilla Persona 5. I know there's a lot of people who don't like following guides in their first playthrough of Persona games. I've always done it that way only because I like to make sure that I've seen every social link or confidant rank up for every character, just so that I have the full context on every character and I can judge them that way. So like I have all the information I need to form my opinion on every character in my first playthrough. I don't like missing, like, you know, not having an opinion on a character. Like, for example, it's kind of like in Fire Emblem Engage, like Amber. I have never used Amber in any of my playthroughs, and because of that, I don't have many of his supports, and I can't really give an opinion on Amber as a character, because I know barely anything about him. But now, that shelf is full of items. We have the photo of Clara here. And the star water tray used for planting flowers, pretty sure, just like most Velvet Room attendant items, this does nothing. I don't know if Jose is really a Velvet Room attendant or not, although given his age and how his eyes look, you could kind of make a weird headcanon that he could even be the child of Elizabeth and Gary Stu.
Hey!
But let's brew some coffee one last time.
Oh.
I still feel like Sojiro should quit smoking.
Whoa.
I love the paper filters on those. I feel like I don't see them used all that much more.
Yes. All right.
Once again, Joker's very proud of whenever he makes coffee and curry, but there we go, we are now officially the second boss of LeBlanc. We have become Sojiro's true successor. And again, you can't have Kawakami make those, only you have to do them yourself in order to get the Thieves' Den award. And hey, we get to see Sojiro in his third semester outfit once more. I don't think I've mentioned this, but Sojiro's overall physical appearance is heavily inspired by Daisuke Jigen from the Lupin the Third franchise.
Let me explain.
Which is, you know, another major Phantom Thief franchise from Japan, and pretty much a heavy influence on this game. He says that even about Master Coffee. He does seem to be acknowledging us doing the Confidant, though. It's part of why I want to make sure I go into the final battle with Koryu. I also kind of realize, you know what, maybe it's a symbolic gesture not having Vohumana going into the final battle. It's kind of symbolizing our rejection of Maruki's ideals. Meanwhile, we are going in with Maria, and we also have Akechi's ultimate confidant persona.
Good morning.
Speaking of Akechi, here he is. And also I want to bring Chiyo in because Ryuji was the first confidant relationship we formed. Yeah, what are you gonna do after all this? I mean, you got let off absolutely scot-free. But yeah, we don't really know what Akechi's planning on doing. There's something about the way that Akechi, you know, finds living in Maruki's reality a fate worse than death that I'll talk about in my video on Maruki's ending when I release it. There's something that I kind of wish it did when it comes to Akechi. That tired thing also reminds me of something else I want to mention, because there's, there's another thing regarding Maruki's missed deadline game over that's, kind of disturbing in that regard. While there are a lot of, some would say, more productive things we could do on our last real day of free time, I often like to spend my last days in Persona games just hanging out with the love interest of choice, and thankfully Makoto is available today, and I thought I'd give a gift to her too. Holy crap, that's expensive! Yeah. The heart ring is liked by most of the love interest options, but wow, that's expensive.
You should be great.
Yes, I know I'm rich. I know I'm really rich, especially after selling the treasure, but I feel like Makoto would probably like a smaller, more personal gift. Okay, you are talking about a gun. I was thinking that was an actual girl, and that would be weird.
Take your time.
But in Akihabara, we can pick up the motorbike figure.
What will you do?
Well, we've been in Ryuji's and Yusuke's right now, and yes, they are probably worse.
Do you think?
I guess that's Joker's secret, he's always nervous. Given what he's been through, I can believe it.
Thank you very much. Just a little longer.
Sadly, you only get 2 days of interactivity in February, and one of them is taken up by, or at least the evening is taken up by plot events. And you really should be doing a certain thing on tomorrow's daytime if you've maxed out a certain somebody's confidant. Don't think so. Unless, Makoto really liking that gift was actually part of his actualization. I really hope it wasn't. Well, there is one way we're getting out of this without a fight, but you're not gonna like what that entails. Once more, Akechi's probably very sore about being left out of that fight. Then everyone else is probably like, hey, we thought you were dead at the time. And our enemy. Once more, the counselor. You know, though, I am glad that even in Maruki's reality, they are addressing these problems at schools. And yeah, wow, just bringing it back to Kamoshida even this late. Yeah, we really shouldn't be nostalgic for that time, though.
Hey, hey!
But, yeah, we finished everything. Now, I guess this was, like, in case you missed any of them, but we have all the crosswords now. I also realized, though, that I forgot to put some of my Crane Game toys on display. I went through a lot to get these balloons. I'm going to put them up. So yeah, there's the Buchimaru. That's bigger than I expected. I guess the panda's eyes are crossed because he's always studying. And the Jagao doll.
Hey, hey!
I feel like it is the kind of thing Yusuke would design. But that is all the dolls that can be displayed above your desk. Still love how we have that exorcism arrow just hanging there. But tonight we could go fishing. And there actually is a new fish that shows up at the pond, apparently. In the third semester, I mean. Factor in this weather, you might even catch him. So close, come on. There we go. Ichigaya Kingpin, yeah, the even better version of the Ichigaya Guardian. That one's a little more fitting, but it's still nowhere near as crazy as the one that Yu Narukami fished up. How much is the Kingpin worth? 10,000!
Let's see how you did.
And an additional bonus on top of that. But I'm gonna retcon that. Because I've decided what we're actually gonna do is try and hit 30 home runs at the batting cages! And I retcon that too.
Oh.
Because I decided that there was a fitting way to spend our last free evening.
Thank you.
We just spend time with, in my opinion, best girl. Why not spend time with best NPC as well?
It's all you.
I guess we get to show our diligence by working at a part-time job for once in a few months.
Evening. Oh. Oh, honey.
Actually,
How we finally get closure on this request by doing this? I actually didn't know this happened.
let me ask.
I mean...
Kind of feel like if this was a comedy, Joker would just
hey.
slip up and break a plate at this second.
Yep.
I mean, this is actually fitting too, getting to spend this last night witnessing some of the good the Phantom Thieves did in the world.
Huge order coming through. Nice work, honey. See you.
Yep. Wanna head back?
Dawn of the final day. Ruffle Mayo, are you serious?
Senpai? No.
So this conversation will be a little different if you haven't reached the end of Maruki's palace by now. If you haven't, she'll just recommend you go to the palace, and you will have to today if you want to not get a bad ending. Unlike most of the other targets, you have right up until just before the deadline this time. You don't need an extra day to send the calling card because you'll automatically do it the night of the 2nd. Nobody else knows, but we're fighting for the fate of the world tomorrow. Hopefully. Yep, we'll handle it just like always. Yes, just as we planned, no murder ambush. Now, this whole conversation becomes a lot harsher if after everything you've been through, you still decide to accept Maruki's reality. I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but you do actually get the choice to do so one last time. Now, this right here is important. So, Sumire is sending a text message. And she wants to talk to us. As harsh as this seems, say you will respond later. If you go now, you will lose any chance to prepare before the final battle. Now is your last chance to do anything in Tokyo. And again, you will lose this chance if you say yes and accept that invite with Sumire. So if there's anything you want to do in town, make sure you do so now. Buying items from a lot of the stores, because there are some good items that come from places besides Untouchable and the clinic. Going to the Velvet Room, that's a big one. Anything that you want to do, make sure you take care of it before you see Sumire. In fact, I'm going to do something a little weird, and right now, I'm going to be going over who I'm going to be bringing into the final battle, at least initially. So, unlike Yaldabaoth, I'm going to go with a more cliched party, but this is the only chance Akechi and Sumire have to fight a final boss, so I want to bring both of them. They complement each other's abilities quite nicely, though. And in my final slot, yeah, the only reason I left Makoto out of the Yaldabaoth fight was I planned to use her in this one. But for reasons, I actually want at least somebody to have the Ring of Greed. And I suppose Akechi will have to take that. Huh. Giving Makoto Megadolon could be a potentially helpful thing. The Alluring Belt, weirdly, is kind of useful in this upcoming fight, although you can also use the Spotlight Thieves tool. Actually, Insta-Heal is also extremely useful to have, as well as any accessory that protects against fear or dizzy. On the subject of final preparations, there's actually an untouchable item that I want to get for Makoto, the Meteor Knuckle, just for that agility plus 5. I actually prefer this to Makoto's ultimate fist weapon. Hi there, Lavenza. But now, it's time to accept this message to meet up. Her room is pretty plain looking overall, but I like that straw hat she has hanging up above her uniform. One of her uniforms, at least. Well, I mean, Makoto did say that our room was pretty clean before, so that's a good sign.
Yes.
I'm sure she did, she just never really got to express it. I suppose in a sense, Maruki gave her some more empathy for her sister by getting to sort of live out her life. Though, it's taking the whole walk a mile in someone else's shoes thing a bit too literally. And yeah, if it weren't for him, we never would have met. Just like all of the bad things that have happened across the Phantom Thieves' lives, it did bring them together in the end.
But
It's actually kind of funny how we are literally about to tell someone I reject your reality and substitute my own, though really he's the one telling that to everyone else. Yeah, so she wants to save Maruki, and honestly I feel like that's the real goal here. And to achieve that goal,
this is...
I still wish these were
All
voiced
right.
though. Ella is the true name of the heroine of Cinderella. Cinderella was a mocking nickname given to her by her stepsisters, as servants would often be covered in soot and ashes. While I've already said all I wanted to about the character, did you know that the Cinderella story itself far predates European fairy tales? Its earliest prototype may have been told in Egypt, as the story of a Greek slave whose sandal is carried away by an eagle and dropped into the lap of the king. Mesmerized by the beautiful shape of the sandal, he orders a search for the one who fits it, and she ends up marrying the king. Other similar stories are found all across the world, from Phoenicia to Malta to China, Vietnam, and Cambodia, all featuring common plot threads of an orphaned lower-class girl who goes on to marry royalty, a lost object that identifies her, and some kind of magical protector. In persona terms, this suggests that the Cinderella story has existed in the human collective unconscious for a very long time. While Vanadis didn't gain any new resistances, Ella rectifies that by gaining a resistance to nuclear, which is actually very useful since the final boss uses nuclear and bless attacks, making Sumire a great pick for the fights. Her trait becomes Veil of Sunrise, which has a higher chance of preventing knockdown on allies, and her special skill is an attack, Masquerade, which deals 2 hits of severe physical damage, 300 power, the equivalent of Death Scythe. With a decent crit rate of 20%, that is lower than Brave Blade, so you may want to keep that skill. But Masquerade is one of the stronger physical skills a party member gets. Yeah, facing yourself. Bit of a callback to Persona 4 there.
Yes!
Obligatory mention of, except to Strikers, because she probably had
Thank
some
you
kind
for
of
bringing
athletics
me
event
here.
at the time. But really, it's because they were, written at the same time. But we now get Masquerade. This is a bit of a dilemma because Sword Dance is, it has a higher crit rate than Masquerade, but the final fight's not really going to be very crit reliant anyway. The weird thing is, I kind of want to get rid of Evade Curse because I'm pretty sure Maruki doesn't have any curse attacks. I could end up being horribly wrong about this, and I said before I don't like to get rid of my evade skills, but I guess that's going to be the case with 2 party members in the final fight because I do kind of want to keep Sword Dance. Just in case I can potentially get crits. Plus, her evasion's already insane thanks to Ali Dance and her agility.
Ah, you're back.
So we have this suspicious music. Oh, and this isn't voiced, okay. Not yet, at least. Yes, you conveniently ran out of ingredients. Gee, I wonder who might have caused that to happen.
Make sure you close up.
It's funny how we still have that I Heart Tokyo shirt hanging up there in the side of this chat conversation. Ryuji's eager as always. Well, not yet, but at the same time, something a little suspicious happened to get Sojiro out of the house.
My apologies for calling so late.
See what I said about not being voiced yet?
This is Maruki, by the way.
Well, yeah, we pretty much know your voice by now.
I'm actually rather close by. Would you mind lending me an ear? There's something important we need to talk about.
Oh yeah, you bet there is.
And if you do intend to confront me, I believe there's something you have to give me first.
Yeah, we've already got that figured out.
Thank you. I'll be at the cafe shortly. See you later.
I caught all of that.
I like how you can see Morgana listening intently on that entire conversation.
Just as we suspected, he knew he'd have to get a calling card. I have no clue how this meeting is going to go down. Hey, just make sure you keep your guard up, okay?
Thankfully, you are given a chance to
do
save
it.
here. This isn't like your last chance. Nope, I don't want to overrate my police station trophy save. But you are given, of course, a chance to equip your party and do all of that in the palace. So this is mainly your opportunity to save,
Hey,
because you can potentially end up getting a different ending than you might want here if you're not careful.
Sorry for the last-minute visit. How's Yoshizawa-san holding up?
Better than ever, she's even evolved her persona.
I've been concerned about a potential relapse, considering her difficulties with accepting this reality. You know, I would love for that to be the truth. But people can't maintain their strength forever. So, getting down to business. I wanted to confirm with you one last time. Is there no other way to come to an agreement besides fighting? The reality I created may seem distorted from your point of view, but it's a reality where everyone is happy.
Sure, but some people aren't even really themselves in it, and nobody has a chance to learn and grow from their mistakes or hardships.
If you just stay, you'll never have to suffer the pain of loss, or the pain from having people and things stolen away from you.
I was about to say something here, but then I realized that the dialogue choice would probably ninja it.
So, you saw what happened with Rumi.
Yep, we saw your mental vaults.
I'm not the one who suffered. She is.
Yeah, I think you keep telling yourself that. Clearly you're still deeply affected, what with all those statues of her.
But she's still living a wonderful life right now. In this world you call a distorted reality.
but she still doesn't remember you, right? And you're fine with that?
She may not be in my life anymore. But at least her own life is a happy one now. I'm not just doing this for Rumi. I want all of you to live just as happily as she is.
How are you so sure she's happy, though? You haven't visited her.
But for Rumi's happiness to last, I have to move on. After all that's happened to her, to me, I just can't drag her into it.
I definitely agree here, though.
Doc.
My stance will not change. Strange circumstances have led to my gaining this power. However, I now recognize it as being wholly inevitable. This is something only I am capable of doing. I promise. Every person alive will be happy in the world I create. So, let me ask you the same. After really considering every option, do you have any doubts about your views? I suppose it's more accurate to ask, do you two gentlemen have any doubts? You're here, aren't you, Akechi-kun?
Akechi.
You caught me.
Curses, your passive perception was higher than I thought.
Oh, it was just a hunch.
Yeah, I had a hunch too. There's no way he wouldn't be here. Or actually, there is. So, this whole sequence of events that's about to happen with Akechi, this only happens if you reach Justice rank 10. This is the change that makes. You don't need to do that to unlock the third semester, but if you didn't, this scene will play out entirely between Maruki, Joker, and Morgana.
This issue doesn't only affect you. Akechi-kun, this involves you too.
What do these two have to do with...
The relationship you two share is very unusual.
Well, yeah, that's an understatement, and even more of one if you look at all the fanfics.
A detective and a phantom thief. Despite being enemies, your relationship isn't based on hatred or ill will.
Though I'm sure Akechi would vehemently deny that.
That's why I found it so tragic when I learned what happened in Shido's palace.
You bastard! So, my final enemy is a puppet version of myself.
Something I can also note is this line delivery here is actually slightly different if you got into rank 10 as well.
Say, didn't you regret how things ended with him? You two came to a deep understanding of one another, yet you had no choice but to leave Akechi-kun to his fate. That's why I created a reality where you two could have a fresh start together.
That's why, I guess, in this reality he was absolved of all his crimes, but again, he didn't want that.
After all this, that's what you have to say. Seriously, you really are.
That would mean the Akechi in the real world is...
Get what I'm saying? I genuinely didn't want to tell you like this. I didn't want to make it seem like I'm holding him hostage.
And yet you're kind of doing it anyway. I do like how Maruki clearly admits, though, that he didn't want to do this. Like, he could have blackmailed us with this knowledge from the beginning. The whole idea that, oh hey, if you erase my reality, Akechi might die. But he didn't.
But no matter what you may think of me, I just want you all to accept this reality and move on with your happy lives.
And that matters how, exactly? Don't tell me you think dangling my life before us is going to have any impact on our decision. Well, I lacked conclusive evidence. But after I fought against you all, I had a gap in my memory that ended with meeting up with him again. There were also the cases of Wakaba Ishiki and President Okumura. Of course, I'd find all of that suspicious.
I see.
So like those two, I guess Akechi is kind of a cognitive zombie right now.
I had a feeling the truth of the matter still wouldn't dissuade you, Akechi-kun. But how about you? You think dangling my life before us is going to affect our decision? That's what Akechi-kun said a moment ago. If that's how you see it at this point, I'm fine with it. But I'm still going to ask you, one last time, will you accept the reality I create for you? You were the guiding light to my research. You showed me the way so I could make my dream into reality.
And because of that, this is all partially our fault.
I have nothing but gratitude for you. Not a single ounce of ill will. That's why I wanted you, of all people, to understand. Perhaps I shouldn't ask you for an answer on the spot like that. I'll be going now. Ah, that's right. I've heard you're calling.
There is actually official text for what this calling card says. It's never read out in the game, but I'll be showing it on screen now. That is the calmest 100% security ever.
And about my question, let's do this. I'll be waiting in the palace tomorrow, just as I promised. If you still haven't changed your mind by then, we'll meet there. But if you don't show, I'll take that to mean you've accepted my reality. See you.
What are you gonna do?
I'd like to speak with him.
Akechi. Gotcha. I'll leave the decision up to you. Let me know when you've reached an answer.
I will carve my own path for myself. I refuse to accept a reality concocted by someone else, stuck under their control for the rest of my days. Why wouldn't I be? Don't ask such stupid questions after all this time. All you have to do is stick to your guns and challenge Maruki. Or are you really so spineless that you'd fold over some bullshit trivial threat on my life?
And here I have to mention something infamous. So, in the initial release of Royal, this top option here was "This isn't small potatoes," and a lot of people found it unintentionally hilarious and ruining the mood of the scene. I have a theory as to how this happened. From my experience fan translating an Ace Attorney game, often the dialogue choice text and the regular script are stored in different parts of the code. It's possible that somebody, one of the translators, was given just the script file for all the dialogue choices with no context, and without any context, I can understand translating this as "this isn't small potatoes." That's why when you're translating, context is extremely important.
Then you already know what needs to be done.
But yeah, as you can tell, they patched that in a later, well, patch.
I want to hear you say it aloud. What do you intend to do?
But Akechi would rather be gone than accept a world where he's under someone else's thumb.
I won't wait a moment longer. Answer me.
And here's where you have to be careful, because if you choose this, you do get Maruki's ending. That's why I'm glad they gave you an opportunity to save before this conversation.
All right. I'm relieved to hear it.
The ending is exactly the same as if you accepted it much, much earlier in the third semester.
I will never accept this form of reality. I'm done being manipulated. Let's go back to our true reality.
And with that, Akechi, your alignment has officially changed from chaotic evil to chaotic neutral.
This feel so alive. I'll sow chaos as far as the eye can see.
All right.
Before I explain Hereward, I have to say that this Persona Awakening is not guaranteed. It's actually a special unlock for choosing specific dialogue options throughout Akechi's Confidant, and that's why I drew attention to those way earlier. You have to choose "You're my rival" at rank 7, "I accept" at rank 8, and "I want to keep our promise" the night after defeating him in Shido's palace. If you make all three of those choices, then you get Hereward. Hereward the Wake was an Anglo-Saxon nobleman who lived between around 1035 and 1073. He led a resistance of the local people against the Norman conquest of England and William the Conqueror. His title, the Wake, either means watchful, or comes from the Wake family claiming descent from him to legitimize their claim to their land. Historians don't doubt Hereward existed, but most believe his tales were greatly exaggerated. He was supposedly exiled at 18 for disobedience to his father and disruptive behaviour, and declared an outlaw by Edward the Confessor. He returned to England to find his land taken over and his brother killed. He killed 15 Normans in revenge, and then joined the anti-Norman resistance. His legends are said to have inspired and influenced the stories of Robin Hood, hence why he's Akechi's evolved persona. But as for his depiction here, while Robin Hood's design had elements of Superman, Hereward's is inspired heavily by Batman. He gains a resistance to Psi, which the final boss ironically does not use, and his trait becomes Ingenious Spirit, which has a chance of halving not just the cost of support skills, but also allies and his own Almighty skills. Almighty is quite useful in the final boss fight, since it has a lot of shifting resistances. Speaking of Almighty, his special skill is Rebellion Blade. Colossal, and I do mean colossal, it is one of the strongest attacks in the game. Almighty damage to one target, doing 2.5 times damage if they're knocked down. The final boss itself can't be knocked down, but some of their components can be, so this effect is still useful. The main thing to note about Rebellion Blade is despite its name, it's actually a magic attack, which means it's boosted by Concentrate, not Charge. Hereward unfortunately retains his Bless weakness, which is at risk of being struck during the final battle, so I wouldn't recommend overriding Evade Bless if you plan on bringing Akechi there. Though most people do, as it's the only time Hereward is usable, and you kinda have to work to get him.
What's a life worth in a reality that was cooked up just to satisfy someone else? I say none. We have to win this, no matter what.
I do need to keep that. Having something physical is still useful here. And as I said, Evade Bless, very, very important against Maruki. Actually, technically that's good too. This, though, is pointless as long as I have my Auto Mark persona on Joker, so yeah, let's get rid of that.
All right, we're all here. It's time. Our final battle. Maruki came by Leblanc last night, so we gave him the calling card.
I doubt Maruki is still interested in discussion. You realize there's no backing out now, right?
Ain't no way we're gonna run now. We're gonna confront Doc in his palace, show him what's up, and go back to our own reality, right?
Right.
It appears we're all ready.
It's time to take back what belongs to us. Our own reality.
And now, I'll see you tomorrow for the finale of Maruki's Palace.